So if Jordan's falling off, that's actually a really good question, one which I feel like you'll get varied results depending on who you ask. But to make a long story short, if you look at things just solely based off the numbers, Jordan brand is actually bigger than ever. So with all of that being said, we're now about halfway through the year. I thought it would be kind of cool to take a look at what Jordan brand's been doing here in 2025, at least through my lens. And then if you guys disagree with anything that I'm saying, you already know, jump in the comments, we can have a discussion. So why would people say Jordans are falling off? Well, of course, you know, there's a lot more competition now in the market. You got Adidas, New Balance, you got brands like On Cloud, Hoka making big noise, and then smaller brands like Crocs, you know, trying to get a little bit of that pie which Nike and Jordan brand has been eating, you know, for the last couple of decades or so. Plus, on top of that, you got more smaller independent brands getting a lot more visibility with the internet, which they kind of seem to be just a little blip on the map, but you guys know what's going on. So a lot more competition. You got trends kind of changing here and there. But at the end of the day, Jordan brand, you know, they continue to increase their annual revenue each and every single year. So they're bringing in more profits every year. I know there's a lot of headlines surrounding, say, like Nike stock falling off. But remember, Nike and Jordan brand, they operate under kind of two separate companies. And I just told you what Jordan brand's doing. So they're keeping the hype rolling, which translates into a lot more dollars. They're expanding the brand and everything like that. So here in 2025, of course, we know they're celebrating the 40th anniversary, which it's special, man. 40 years from the very first Jordan when it originally released. This year, we're seeing an overabundance of OG Jordan retros. It feels like the most that we've ever seen released in a single year. And when we talk about OG Mikes, we're talking about the pairs that MJ actually wore on the court back in his playing days. So that's how it goes. The OGs are always like held in a lot more higher regards. Nike, Jordan brand, they want you to put more respect on these releases. So it doesn't mean just because they're dropping all these OG classic pairs that they're gonna be easy to cop. You know, Nike's always making it feel like there's always just not enough pairs to go around. So, for example, we had the classic Bread 85 Jordan 1s released. You guys know how that one went. In-store only at select neighborhood locations. Rumor has it around like 23,000 pairs. Some people would say 10,000 pairs, depending on worldwide, whatever you want to name it. A lot of rumors floating around, but we know they were extremely limited. But then on the other hand, say you had a pair like the Jordan 4 White Cements, which just dropped, apparently the biggest retro release of the year. Everybody want to get their hands on them joints right there. Two classics. You know, one more limited, one more plentiful, but again, it always just felt like there still wasn't enough pairs to go around. So that's pretty much been the story as far as Jordan retros. When we're talking OGs and everything like that, we have Black Metallics, Reimagined, Flu Game 12, some other pairs which I'm probably missing. And then there's a couple Jordans, you know, that aren't like always quick sellouts. There's some pairs that are sitting here and there, but you know, those are the ones that are gonna continue to run up the revenue. Now, on top of those OG classic releases, which everybody's looking to get their hands on, Jordan brand, they've been also doing a great job with their collaborations. And when a brand collaborates, I feel like their sole purpose, or one of the biggest reasons, is to kind of like bring in two different worlds together, which translates into dollars. So as far as Nike collaborations, they do have like their, say, brand ambassadors, the people that are like signed to Nike and Jordan brand, which we'll get into here shortly. And then of course you got the collaborators, which I feel like are going to be like brands or like storefront stuff like that. So we know Ama Manier, which I always feel like I say the name wrong, but they're one of Nike Jordan brand's premier collaborators. It feels like they're dropping new releases like all the time. But then you have collaborators such as like, say, a Union, which is real special because they have like a real regional connection, you know what I'm saying, with the LA area. So their releases always seem to bring a lot of hype, especially when we talk about Jordan Union collabs. And I feel like this year's Jordan 1 was definitely one of those ones. So that was a great collaboration. Then you also have other upcoming collaborations such as Infinite Archives, which is a brand I actually had no clue about, you know, before hearing about their upcoming Jordan collaboration. So that's an interesting one. It's like, how does a company or a brand such as Infinite Archives, you know, manage to make it all the way to the top to get a Jordan brand collaboration? I want to hear what their story's all about. And on top of that, not only are they collaborating with Jordan brand, but they're also releasing a coveted model in the upcoming Jordan 17. So that's something special, you know, one that I look forward to hearing a lot more about. So on top of their collaborators, again, you got the brand ambassadors, which I wasn't even going to touch on, but yeah, we should get into brand ambassadors. Like, I'm talking about people that are like signed to Nike Jordan brand. So say someone like Travis Scott, who has been having kind of like a quiet year. We know he's been like holding down Jordan brand and Nike as far as hype releases and everything like that. Right now, it seems like they're kind of shifting focus to his silhouettes, such as the Zoom Field Jacks, as well as the T-Rex, the Jumpman Jack. So you guys know what's going on over there. But This dude, Nigel Sylvester, man, he has kind of just emerged almost as like the new face of Jordan Brand. I know that sounds kind of like crazy to say, but like here, at least in the North America streetwear kind of region, you know, when it comes to like hype stuff like that, it almost feels like Nigel, you know, can't be touched. We're talking about with the brick by bricks, them Jordan 4s, man. Those set off 2025, and I feel like we haven't seen a collaboration top that. It's a sneaker which is buzzing about, you know, topping a lot of people's sneaker of the year list. So there's just been so much love surrounding that model. So it seems like right now, when it comes to these collaborations, people are looking for somebody as a brand ambassador that they can connect with. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that touches hands with the people, and they want to see them like giving their touch on classic Jordan models. So what I mean by that is like giving us cool colorways of familiar silhouettes. And we've even seen, like, you know, with other brands like New Balance and Action Bronson, but when we're talking about Nike and Jordan Brand, it seems like the fans are just purists of the classics, and they really don't want to see them doing too much, you know, keeping some familiar elements, but, you know, just giving us personal taste, good storytelling. And with the Nigel's recipe, we see that was something that was a huge hit here in 2025. So can't wait to see what Nigel has in store for us coming up next year. Now we got Jordan Brand ambassadors, you got collaborators out the way. We talked about OG classics. So let me know, what were some of your favorite Jordan Brand releases that we saw hit the streets this year? And I feel like all of the stuff that Jordan Brand is doing is a mix. It's a recipe to kind of just bring all the hype together with these limited releases. You know, some releases bigger than others with the hype collaborations. It's all just a recipe, you know, to let fans know that Jordan Brand is the top sneaker brand right now currently. You know what I'm saying? It just makes you put some respect on what's going on. Every time when you see these pairs selling out, you know, it makes people be like, dang, these must be the hottest sneakers on the market. And it's all just a recipe which kind of trickles down to Jordan Brand, you know, for all of their other stuff that they're doing. So with the other sneakers that they're dropping, you guys call them like Mexican Mikes, you know, like off-brand Jordans, legacy Jordans, whatever the name is, but it just translates into more dollars for the brand, which of course, you know, Nike, they've been getting a lot of negative headlines, but let's not forget, Jordan Brand, they're kind of operating under a whole different umbrella. And last year they reported around $7 billion in annual revenue. So I would imagine that coming up here for 2025 with the amount of releases, the hype, the excitement, everything that they've been doing, I'm expecting to see that number increase as it's been every single year. Let me know what y'all think down below. But as far as Jordan's falling off, you know, you can get different results depending on who you ask. You know, they may not be at the forefront of, say, like streetwear and fashion and everything. Trends change so much right now with the internet, but you can't deny the fact that Jordan Brands are classics. You know, they've been going crazy through the 80s, through the 90s, through the 2010s, and even here to this day. They continue to, you know, the storytelling, the classics keep coming back, and Jordan Brand just continues to have y'all in the chokehold, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just wanted to kind of give you my thoughts here on what Jordan Brand's been doing in 2025 to keep the hype rolling. And remember, we're only halfway through the year, so I'm sure we got some more surprises in store, some more great releases to look forward to. So drop your feedback down below. JA, I appreciate everybody. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a salute if you're new here. Be sure to subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. I'm out. Love.